Hi everyone, I'm back with another edition of the American Chess Magazine puzzle calendar. The week that I skipped at Chicago Open, we're just going to awkwardly pretend that it never happened. So let's get into the puzzle. The puzzle for Monday, May 29th. It was composed by Vakov Tuzar in the year 1900. Again, all the puzzles in this series are white to move, mate in 2. If you want to try to solve this puzzle for yourself, go ahead and pause the video here. For me, this puzzle had a difficulty rating of 6 out of 10 and a satisfaction rating of 4.5 out of 5. Here, black's kings only escape clears the e6 square, and sadly, it's really hard to control it. For example, if I try to play knight f4 with the idea that if takes, there might be some rook takes discovery or something. First of all, black's king can just run, and also after knight f4, even though white controls this e6 square, black can just move away. Like white's not really threatening anything here. Other ways to try to control e6 include knight to d4, but then again, black simply takes and white has no follow-up. So unfortunately, white has to accept the reality that the black's king will run to e6. And what white needs to do is prepare for that moment. After king e6, possible mating ideas include queen to d7, queen to h3, and queen takes b3. Queen d3 was the first move I looked at after rejecting knight f4. King to e6, then queen d7 is mate. However, the problem is that black just plays knight to d4, and white doesn't have much. If knight takes d4, black takes back. Rook takes e5, the king takes, so there's nothing. And I looked at trying to make queen to h3 work. Queen to h1 was the move that looks really hopeful again. If king e6, then queen h3 is mate. If king e4, then queen back to b1 is checkmate. However, black isn't forced to move the king. They can just play knight d4 or something, and black's king escapes once again to the e6 square in case white plays knight g3 or something. If queen h3, then the rook is hanging. And also, side note, knight c4 threatening rook takes e5 doesn't work because the king runs away, and it runs to d7, and then black successfully escapes mate in 2. Therefore, the correct answer is to play queen to a2. Now, if king e6, queen takes b3. This is not mate, sorry. If king takes e6, then here white has knight to d4 mate because the knight is pinned. If black plays king takes e4, queen b1 is still checkmate. And the key idea of queen a2 is that if the knight moves, then white has knight g3 checkmate, because the knight moving unleashed the white queen to control the e6 square. Therefore, knight g3 is checkmate now. This was the puzzle for yesterday, May 30th. It was composed by Elmar Abdullayev in the year 2021. Again, if you want to solve this puzzle for yourself, then go ahead and pause the video here. For me, this puzzle had a difficulty rating of 1 out of 10 and a satisfaction rating of 4.5 out of 5. Here, black has 3 legal moves, king d5, pawn e4, and pawn to d5. d5 doesn't work because of queen to f6. e4 doesn't work because of queen takes e4. So the only move that white has to watch out for is king to d5. And the easiest way to give checkmate after king d5 is some queen c4. So the correct answer is b3. Now, if e4, queen takes, d5, then queen f6. And finally, if king d5, then queen c4 is checkmate. For example, something like queen e4 stopping king d5 wouldn't work because after d5, white no longer has queen f6 checkmate. This is the puzzle for today, May 31st. It was composed by Vasil Diashuk in the year 2000. Again, if you want to solve this puzzle for yourself, then go ahead and pause the video here. For me, this puzzle had a difficulty rating of 7 out of 10 and a satisfaction rating of 5 out of 5. Here, white has 2 different checkmates that look possible, discover check along this file and discover check along the 8th rank. However, both of these don't work because of this rook on h4, which is actually a very good defender. If knight a to c6 check, then the rook takes the a rook. And if knight d to c6 check, then the h4 rook takes the h8 rook. And both of these times, black manages to defend against mate. Therefore, the thought process that ended up being correct is that white needs to find a way to deflect this rook. And the best way to do that is to block this 4th rank. For example, if white plays g4, now white is threatening knight a to c6 because the rook cannot take on a4. And if black tries to take maintaining this connection, then white simply plays knight d to c6 checkmate because the h4 rook is no longer attacking the h8 rook. However, the problem with, the small snag in this plan is that white has 6 candidate moves that they can choose from that all block the 4th rank. And only one of them works, which is actually really amazing. Now, the key to this problem is realizing that black's defender is this queen sitting in the corner. For example, if white plays e4, then black plays queen to f1. Now, if the knight moves, then queen a6 blocking is the saving grace. If knight to c4, with the idea that, oh, now you can't block on a6, unfortunately, this doesn't control the b8 square anymore. Similarly, if d4, then queen e1 blocking on a5. If c4, then queen d1 attacking the rook. And finally, if g4, then queen e4 attacking the rook. Therefore, white has two remaining candidate moves, f4 and b4. b4 unfortunately does not work because rook takes b4, attacking this rook, and if knight d to c6, then the rook blocks on b8. Therefore, the correct answer is to play pawn to f4. Now, queen g1, the queen cannot block on a7 because of the c5 pawn. Therefore, knight a to c6 is checkmate. If rook takes, then knight d to c6 is mate, and otherwise white will simply play knight a c6 checkmate. So those are the puzzles for this half week. There were definitely some very fun puzzles, especially the last one that was incredible. For those of you who read my community tab, I missed the previous week's puzzles because of playing in the Chicago Open. Summer is here, therefore my travel schedule is a lot more busy, so I probably won't be posting as frequently. That's all for today. Bye.